Let's get into it. Coach Colin here, Sold Not For Sale podcast. Joe Rogan and Donald Trump have squashed the beef, ladies and gentlemen. They met up. They squashed the beef. We have it right here. There's Joe Rogan with Trump right there. Joe Rogan even says on Instagram, ran into Trump. Everything is cool. There you go. There's Donald Trump. There's Joe Rogan. Thumbs up. Trump 2024, baby. Don't worry. We're okay, people. We're okay. Obviously a joke, but what we are talking about today is Joe Rogan is calling out Kamala Harris's Marxist statements. We're going to go through those statements after I play the Joe Rogan clip, but it is very good to hear Joe Rogan actually call this out because so many people are just kind of shooing what she says away as nonsense, but a lot of it has deep Marxist ideology in it. I've talked about this. YouTube didn't like it very much. But now Joe's saying it. It's not me. It's not me, YouTube. Anyway, let's get into it. And then at the end, I'm going to show you a very rare Biden W against Kamala Harris. Very interesting stuff. Let's get into this first clip.
The real problem is when you hear discussions of things that are like openly Marxist philosophies, when you hear talk about equal outcomes and, you know, and not just equal opportunity, but that we all need to arrive at the same place, equal outcome talk. There's only one way they can do that, and it's by forcing you.
Well, it's by everyone having nothing.
Yeah.
That's the only way to have things totally equal. Because you can't have everyone have everything. That's impossible.
Right. There's no way. There's not enough resources. And so for equal distribution, that has to be enforced by law. So that has to be enforced by the government, and the government generally does not have equal. They have much more than you. And that's Fidel Castro in Cuba. That's North Korea. That's virtually every communist country that's ever existed. You have a military dictatorship that decides what you can and can't do with your time.
Sure.
And all under the guise of making it better for everyone. And that's exactly what they did to North Korea. When they took over people's farms, they said, we're going to take over the farms so that everybody has food. Yay, good. Now everyone's starving.
Right.
And the government has all the food. And if you kill a cow, they'll kill you. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts that people don't learn from history, and it's nuts that people who subscribe to this leftist ideology have this very distorted version of humans and how capitalism works and what's the benefits of it. I think there's a lot of parts of progressive ideology and philosophy that could be applied to society to make things better. I think if we funded more things the same way we fund the fire department, the police force, these are kind of socialist things, right? Everybody gets access to the fire department.
Right.
It's a part of being in the community. We all pay for it. Education is that way, but it should be much more funded, right? It should be much more prestigious, much better trained teachers, a more esteemed position. I feel the same way about law enforcement. They should be much more respected, much better trained. We should put much more resources into that and have them be integral and a part of the community and for the safety of the community. Not the bad guys who come in to pull you over because you rolled through a fucking stoplight. You know, that kind of shit.
Right.
And I think the problem is these people that have this idea of equal outcome, this is the worst version of all these leftist ideologies. The worst version is open borders, everybody should have everything, and then equal distribution of it. And then what always comes with that is they unarm the citizens. And if they don't unarm the citizens, you can't get away with any of this stuff. But as soon as you have no one has guns other than the police, everybody is forced to comply. And if the army and the police are the only ones that get to tell you what to do, and they take orders from the government, and the government is a communist dictatorship, you're f***ed. And that has never been more evident than in all the versions of it that you can see in current world politics now, where a government has been taken over by a communist regime. It's always bad. It never turns out good. Not a single time. People starve. It gets horrible. You know, there's just terrible government overreach. You're seeing it now in England, where people are getting arrested for tweets.
Yeah. Well,
England, you know, people talk about Soviet Russia, like how bad Russia.
Oh, and we went over that already, and the powers that be didn't like me making that video either, I have to say. Don't forget, subscribe, turn on the notifications, like the video. It helps tremendously. Got to make the channel undeniable, or else, you know, They do what they do. But anyways, let's get into what he's talking about in regards to the statements that are being made openly. I've played this clip before, but I think it needs to be played again. A lot of people don't understand what she's saying when she says this, but these are the ideologies that Joe Rogan is talking about. We're going to go through a little series of these. And again, we're going to play that rare Biden W against Kamala Harris. Very, very, very rare. I mean, pretty much an elusive W for Biden. Let's go.
It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution. Giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place, right? We are proud of the fact that equity is one of our guiding principles. Proud of the fact that we understand equality is important, but not everybody starts out on the same base. We see that people in our country are having an experience that is not equal. So when we talk about the work we are doing here together, it is recognizing that and being guided by this principle of what we must do in the spirit and in the interest of equity.
Well, and you know, this is exactly what Joe Rogan was just touching on. This is, you can't do this without everybody complying to it. And when you look at the vast variances throughout the United States of America in terms of people's incomes and also their work ethic and what they're willing to do for their income, it's just, it varies just so much. And to put everybody equal throughout the whole thing, you can't do that without a very radical change. Let's move on to the next statement. Here she is talking about gun control. We got a couple of those. And again, I'm not taking any of this out of context. This is what she's talking about. This is what she wants to do. These are the statements that Joe's talking about, as well as some others with some other candidates. I mean, you know, if I go back to this clip, I just roll down here, you know, people are talking about, is there a video to this? Is there sound to this? I don't know what the sound is. I don't want to play something I can't play. But somebody's just saying, holy communism. You know, Tim Walsh established the snitch line. You know, like just things like this, things that you can report your neighbors. This is stuff that they used to do back in the Soviet times, the Bolsheviks. Let's go.
I am a gun owner, and I own a gun for probably the reason that a lot of people do, for personal safety. I was a career prosecutor. And in terms of gun policy, though, I think that for too long and still today, we are being offered a false choice, which suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away.
Harris says she supports, quote, smart gun safety laws, including universal background checks and a reinstated assault weapons ban.
You know, and I don't think it is false. I think when you start going down the road that they're trying to go down slowly, I think it is a question of if you're for the Second Amendment, you're for it, you know, and it's just, you can't tamper with that document. And so many times you see people trying to skirt it or go around it, or like, can we do an executive thing here? And it's like, just uphold the document. It built the greatest nation in the world. Just uphold it. That's all you have to do. Just don't touch it. Just read it. And that's it. Ah, man. Anyways, let's move on to the next clip. Her talking about the same type of stuff. Just a quick one.
We'll finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
A lot of people are against this. A lot of people don't understand what this means. You know, Joe Rogan was talking about having to disarm the populist, and that is really something that has to happen each time. And that's why America's so beautiful. That's why America's so incredible, because you can't just do that. And, you know, these people, they're given these incredible rights that you can't touch. And that's why it's the last stand. You know, Ben Carson actually talked about this with Tucker. And he was like, I think all of this is because we are the last thing standing in front of a one world government. And to hear somebody as wise as Ben Carson is not conspiratorial. He is not. He's reading books to get his information. He's not even a guy that's like, oh, let me see, oh, this, oh, Telegram. Oh, he's not one of those guys. No, he's reading books. He's gaining his information. He's thinking about it all the way through, and then making a decision what to talk about and what not to talk about, what to take in as fact and what not to take in. And when he says something like that, really stands out to me. Let's play this last one. She's talking about the collective.
We believe in the collective. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to separate us, trying to pull us apart. That's not where the strength lies. We believe in the collective.
A lot of people, and this is why there's always a focus on black people, because the working class and black people, that's why they always focus on the working class and the most downtrodden people, because they're the easiest to radicalize in a sense. You know, when she talks about the collective, that's not good talk. You know, again, I'm reading like 2 books on all this information. I'm starting to read all the literature, and yeah, you really have to look into what she means by the collective. You know, I remember seeing her talking about children, and I remember her saying something about the children are not just yours. They belong to the, you know, it takes a village. And I was like, is she saying people's kids are not just theirs? You know, and I'm not saying that's what she's saying. It just sounded like it. And then I hear this collective talk, and I'm like, oh man, you don't understand. The collective, again, the whole equity thing and the collective, those go hand in hand. You know, if there's a collective, everyone's equal in the collective, no matter what work you've done or haven't done, what type of businesses you've built, what the money that garners, none of that matters. Everybody's equal. Everybody. You know, it gets to the point, like, you know, in Cuba, the people who work on the resorts make the most money. And please don't tell me, oh, it's not true. It is true. It's 100% true. I've talked to many Cuban people. My grandparents are Cuban. Like, come on. Anyways, let's move on to this rare W by Joe Biden. Very rare. Let's go.
Senator Harris, you have said that you would take executive action on guns within your first 100 days, including banning imports of AR-15 assault weapons.
That's right.
President Obama, after Sandy Hook, more than 23 executive actions, and yet here we all are today. In recent days, former Vice President Biden has said about executive orders, some really talented people are seeking the nomination. They said, I'm going to issue an executive order. Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say I'm going to eliminate assault weapons, saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a constitution.
And yes, we can.
Good Lord. You know how bad things are when Biden has to look at you and say, hey, let's be constitutional here. We have a constitution. And she's just like, what's the constant? What is that? What are you talking about? What? Who's constant? What? Is that a drink? I don't understand. Let's just do what we want. No? Executive orders, we do what we want, right? Biden actually had to say, hey, we got a constitution. You can't just do things like that. Very rare Biden W there. Interesting that they ended up joining forces. Very, very interesting. Let me see if I can just find something real quick. Tulsi Gabbard was actually talking about something. Let's see if I have access to it. I didn't plan on showing this clip. Is this her? It is her. Perfect. I found it right here. This is Tulsi Gabbard talking about Kamala Harris.
Is she smart?
I would not say so. I don't know if smart's the right word. Intelligent? No. She is a very calculating person. And so perhaps smart in her calculations that have gotten her to this point.
As a go, what do you think of her?
The same thing that I thought of her back then is she and this was what I warned people against in 2019 is she is incapable and unfit to be president and commander in chief. She would be very dangerous in that position, not only because she will be easily manipulated and controlled by those unelected powers that be that we talked about, but also would immediately feel like she needs to exert and show strength, and that would come at an incredibly high cost to our men and women, my brothers and sisters in uniform, to our country, and quite frankly, to the world, especially given the situation that we're facing today, where, you know, we're on the brink of war with Russia and China, Iran, North Korea, just to name a few. Oh, and also, by the way, we are closer to the brink of nuclear war now than ever before, certainly in our lifetimes. And so in any one of these examples, it takes one spark for any one of these situations to quite literally blow up. She has demonstrated through her time as vice president, through her time as U.S. Senator, through her time as the Attorney General of California, District Attorney of San Francisco, in every opportunity, every position that she held where she had the opportunity to put the interests of the people she was supposed to be serving first, she put her own political interests first. And clearly does not believe in the Constitution and fundamental freedoms. So she's not alone in this, obviously, but she is now, not officially, but will be very soon, the Democratic nominee for president. And we as voters should not allow the political, like, food fight that's going to go on to get in the way of actually knowing the facts of her record and her failed record, and how dangerous she would be in that position.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say, when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard, listen, when I first started this channel, I had some things to say about her. You know, I've made some video pieces on her. I think even her camper people took notice of it. And I have to say, I like her a lot. I like what she has to say quite a bit, you know. I would love to see a ticket, her president, Vivek vice president. I know it sounds weird. I know it's a toss-up, but I'd like to see, just because no one on the other side could debate those two. No one. They wouldn't be able to do it at all. It just wouldn't be there. And Tulsi seems very interested in the people. Vivek seems very interested in the people. They both see what the government has become. They both want smaller government. I just think it'd be a very interesting ticket. And I think they'd be very much a fighting force, you know, like 2028, maybe 3032. We'll see where we're at by then. But if everything's still standing, I mean, that'd be a cool ticket to see, most definitely. Anyways, guys, just wanted to bring you that really quick. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.